Greetings, salutations, what's going on, people? We're here with the first episode of our manga podcast. By the time it comes out and you guys hear this, there will be a name, but right now we don't have one. But you got me, the host, Hemmings. I'm here, and I'm joined by Alan and Kyle. Go ahead and, plug whatever you want to plug.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kyle.
Hey, I'm Alan, the Serpent God. Please follow me on Twitter at Vienasadi, capital V, capital S. Follow my blog, The Intelligentsia, on Weebly.
And Kyle's got a channel now, Stitch Doll.
Right, yeah, Stitch Doll.
Three L's?
Is it 3 L's? Check that out. I'll be making more manga recommendation videos.
Don't worry, I'll have everything in the link in the description, so you guys will be good. But generally, when I start off these newer podcasts, the first thing I like to do is kind of have a good intro. So usually I would say how is it that you got into anime and manga, generally speaking? What's your origin story?
So I think for me I was around the age of 6 or 7, and me and my family had just moved into this new house. So I woke up early one morning, and because I was not used to the house, and I just turned on the TV, and there was an episode of Pokemon playing. So I watched this through, and then I went to wake up my younger brother, and I was just, oh my god, you have to go and watch this show. It's called Pokemon. It has all these cool monsters throwing hands at each other, and it's a great time. So go and watch this. So that was really it for me. That was the first time that I'd really seen an anime. I mean, at the time, I had no idea that's what they were called. I had no idea what manga was. But after I saw that, I was just very, very into that kind of thing. So that's my origin story.
That's fair.
My origin story, I started watching anime same as everyone else, on Toonami, right, with Pokemon. But I used to watch Yu Yu Hakusho in second grade as a kid, and I remember being really captured by how dark it was, because I remember first episode I ever saw was when Hiei used the Dragon of the Darkness Flame against that guy in the Dark Tournament. And that guy just kind of burned to a crisp, and I was like, oh wow, this is way more real than the other shit that I watched. It's way more dark than everything. It just felt darker. So I was like, I didn't know it was anime back then. But I was a huge fan of Yu Yu Hakusho as a kid, and then the first time I knew I was watching anime for sure was watching Naruto.
Mm-hmm.
The summer of fourth grade, it started showing on Toonami, and this was when it first started getting dubbed. So I watched they did a marathon on Toonami, and they were showing all the episodes up until the newest arc. I think I caught up around the Shounen exams, and then ever since then I've been an anime fan. But I never really used to watch anime up until the internet got much better, where the selection got much larger to watch a variety amount of shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's fair. For me, it's been there my whole life. Started off the first anime I've ever seen was Ninja Science Team Gatchaman, right? Go Birds, right?
That's a big one.
Right, yeah. And when I was younger, I used to wait for my dad to come home, and we would watch Dragon Ball, when he got home. I'd wait for him, around when he gets home, and then we'd watch together late at night. And around this time, obviously, when I'm growing up, I'm watching Digimon, I'm watching Pokemon, I'm watching Beyblade, I'm watching Yu-Gi-Oh!, I'm watching, Cardcaptor Sakura, all that stuff. But to me, even at this point in time, they're all just cartoons to me. I didn't know it's anime per se, right? It's just these are just cool shows I like to watch, right? I think the first anime I remember watching, knowing, oh, this is anime, it's from Japan, was Inuyasha. And it was an episode where Inuyasha cuts off Shishomaru's arm in his demon form. That was the first episode of Inuyasha that I saw, and that was literally the first thing I saw. And I'm like, this shit gotta be go off rip. I just flipped the channel to YTV, and this is what I was on, right? And for manga, I was starting in the 6th grade for me. My friend Cassandra, she had manga there. She was reading it, but she had the Shonen Jump volume things. I'm like, oh shit, I know Dragon Ball, and I recognize Yugi, and I recognized Naruto. I recognized like Luffy at the time, but back then I didn't like One Piece because of 4 kids, so I thought it was whack. So I didn't care about that. But then yeah, then I started reading like Ranma. I started off with Rumiko Takahashi, and then from there it was over, man. I read all her stuff, and then like Naruto, then Bleach, Hunter x Hunter, Fist of the North Star, like all Shonen Jump stuff at first, like just battle series for the most part until I broke out of that. But yeah, that's kind of how I started, and then I just been a crackhead since.
It's funny that you say that Inuyasha is your first one too, because I remember that the first time somebody ever told me that, oh, this is an anime, that was one of my lady friends, this girl who I'd grown up with, Nicole, and she told me that, oh, there's this show called Inuyasha. And so I think the first episode I watched from that was the Spiderhead thing, and she told me that, oh, this is an anime. And then one day she brought by the volumes as well of the same series. So that's how I started reading manga as well, and I was just, this is all really nice,
It's funny you say that too, because like I remember, because what happened was like they would say like original story and art by Rumiko Takahashi.
Yes.
So I remember when I seen Ranma, I recognized the name and I was able to put two and two together, and that's kind of how it's like I started being able to recognize like artists and writers and mangaka and whatnot. So I can be like, oh yeah, this is also by the same creator of Inuyasha. I call pompous in the 6th grade. Like I knew everything. Flex on them, but yeah. Plus there was titties in it, so like it was goat to me. Right? I was like grade 6th grade, like so like I see breasts. I'm the same way now, but like it was better back then because it was like, whoa, a breast.
Sure. We were younger men, we were younger men.
Yeah. Right, I still remember that. I think it was one of those first few episodes of Naruto, or maybe the episode where Naruto is like training with Jiraiya, and he like transforms into like a hot girl, like and like Jiraiya's like, you can train with me, but only if you stay in that girl form. I thought it was like the funniest shit ever.
Yeah, man, I miss sometimes like the pure enjoyment of just fully firstly discovering anime before I got all cynical and judgmental, and I'm a hater now. and an elitist.
We've come a long way, man. We've come a long way. There's a lot to be said for that, though. You want the elitism, because then you know what's good and what's bad. And
yeah, exactly.
You're objective about it. You're not just stupid about it. You're not just, oh, this is good and that's it. There are reasons for why something is good, right?
But sometimes it's fun to turn your brain off and just watch some trash.
For sure. There's a lot to be said for that.
Delivers in one kind of aspect,
Yeah.
It's about the enjoyment.
Exactly. So sometimes, I'm feeling trashy as fuck, and I'm just like, yeah, let me just watch the most trashy garbage ever. Other times, I'm looking for a new experience. I'm looking for something that's gonna change the way I think about a certain genre, or thinking about certain types of shows and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes I chase the experience. Like I hear lots of good things about how the show's such a high level. It has a lot of quality, and how it's like one of the best shows or one of the best manga. So I chase that experience often.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right.
Before we like jump into like the top 3 of the various categories, I think you guys want to do what? You want to do manga, anime, manhwa, and was it webtoons? No, manhwa is like the webtoons, right? Like Korean ones, and then the Chinese ones, right?
Yeah,
manhwa.
There you go. Sorry, manhwa, whatever the fuck. But what would you say is your guys' favorite genre and or like demographic, like generally speaking, when you're reading a manga? Like, what do you say you consume the most of? Would it be battle shonen? Would it be romance? What is it?
Yeah, for me, it's definitely the most of like genre-wise I've consumed would be action shonen for sure. But my favorite genre would have to be martial arts and swordplay.
That's fair. What you all?
For me, I think what I enjoy the most is psychological seinen, because in that there's so many levels, there's so many interesting depths that you can get to in a story, and there's none of that childish bullshit. There's no question that whoever wrote this had to think about stuff, because they knew that people who are intelligent, who have a certain level of education, they're going to be reading this, they're going to be looking at this, so they've got to have something there, like of some substance that you can really enjoy, right? And so I think that's what it was for me. And also, you can also have fights too and stuff, right? But it's not the conventional that, okay, I just overpower the other person with my physical strength and all this other thing. It's about the cunning and the strategy of what you do, and how that tactic that you're employing at that moment affects the overarching strategy of what you have planned, right?
Yeah, that's totally fair. Like I kind of agree with you. Like For a long time, I probably would have said that, but I think I just enjoy romance, dude. Just like romance. I just read a lot of romance stuff. I'm not gonna lie, like, but it needs to be like josei and or seinen romance with like the ecchi tags. So like, there's fucking, because like I don't want no bullshit where they hold hands and blush and turn away and shit. I can't do it. I need titties in my face, and then and then drama. Like that's what I need. For me, it's that in both. I'd say easily, but honestly, the most romance I've consumed was probably definitely shoujo. But they all look the same to me anyway. So like, I don't. Even if you ask me, like,
style for shoujo for sure.
Yeah. So we'll talk about like our top 3 of various things. I guess we'll start with manga. You want to start with that? Our favorite 3.
Okay. My favorite 3. My all-time favorite for manga, number 1 is Blade of the Immortal. My second would be Battle Angel Alita Last Order, and my third would be Witch Hunter. So 2 seinen manga and 1 shonen manga.
And why? Why each one, would you say?
And why? Blade of the Immortal, it has like really good
trash. I'm joking.
It's really good sword fights. That's what I love about it. It's a lot deeper than that, but just the sword fights have like excellent like choreography. The best I've seen in the manga. It's not really super powery, but aside from the people that are immortal and they're just really durable and can attach their arms after they get cut off. But other than that, that's the reason why it's my favorite.
Later on, we're gonna swing back on a topic related to Blade of the Immortal and Samura. But all right, what your next one now?
Battle Angel Alita Last Order. It's because that's my second favorite because it's dystopian cyberpunk. It has a really good art style. The fights are amazing. The main character Alita is one of the most well-developed characters I've seen in manga.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does she grow as a fighter, but as a person, she experiences loss and experiences what it's like to lose someone to death, and she's just overall great character. As for the other characters in the manga, they're really good and interesting too, and they all look so sick. In the first manga, the original one, Battle Angel Alita, it's a cool 90s action manga. It has a lot of character backstories and stuff like that. But in Last Order, I feel is where the artwork is
hits a stride.
Yeah, it really does hit its stride in Last Order because the artwork is so clean and the fights are done so well, and it really does the sci-fi aspect of action really well because there's a variety of technology being used, and the main character is a cyborg. Other characters, most of the characters are cyborgs. They're really powerful, and a lot of people's complaint with the second part, Last Order, is that it becomes a shonen and there's a tournament in it. But I don't. It's not a big problem for me. If you don't like tournaments and stuff, I can see why it would be a problem. But I don't know. It was still enjoyable for me. There's still a third part ongoing, but I'm holding off on reading it until it's over.
Yeah, I haven't touched that yet. And then Witch Hunter.
Right, my third Witch Hunter. It's not too deep or anything like that. It's just a really solid action fantasy story.
I like the style a lot.
Right, the style is what got me into it. Actually, it kind of looks like a moe anime, but it's still shonen. Like it still has tons of action. Pretty much like regular fantasy stuff, right? Like world building, politics, and main characters work under an organization. Regular shonen stuff, but I don't know, just the way it does it is so sick. Like the fights are well done, the powers are unique.
I always liked it. It's not an update often. That's my problem.
Right, yeah, that's the main issue with it. It does not update often. It's a crime. It's fucking crime that this shit doesn't update. Like, it should have way more chapters. It came out like 12 years ago, and it only has less than 200 chapters. Like,
all right, what about you, Ally?
For manga, I think my top 3 are Worst, Liar Game, and Kaguya-sama Wants to Be Confessed To.
Okay.
Because the 3 of them are actually, I think, just...
Wait. You're taking Worst over Crows, huh?
See, this is the thing. Originally what happened for me was that I randomly came across Worst, and I started reading it, and I really liked it. So I said, okay, this is really good, and I really want to continue this.
Oh
So
yeah, you read it first. You read it before Crows.
that's right. So I caught up
Yes.
immediately on that, and I realized, oh my goodness, I have nothing better to do with my life now. So what should I go and do instead? So I went around and I looked around and I said that, I know the author's names, and I've forgotten it by now because it's been so long since I last read any of his work.
I don't remember it either.
Yeah. So I went back and I looked through his stuff and I realized that, oh, there's a series called Crows. So I went and I started reading that, and then it occurred to me that, oh my goodness, this is a prequel to Worse, and Crows came first. So what is wrong with me? So I started reading that, and then the thing is that both of them were getting updated very consistently because we're in North America, right? So
Hiroshi Takahashi, by the way, that's his name.
Thank you. So with regards to Hiroshi Takahashi, he was doing his work and he was working on Worst at the time, and actually Worst was still coming out when I was reading it. So, but nobody had translated or scanned all of Crows, so to have that happening was taking a lot of time as well. So,
I actually read the last 3 chapters of both of those on Tumblr.
Yeah, right.
On a random ass blog, like someone just had the pages there, but like they had like the translations under it, so you had to like read what panel 1 what they were saying and then go back.
Exactly. It was a more difficult time. We didn't have the amazing scannolators that we have now. We didn't have the great translators we have now. Back then, it was a much harder time.
Go through your list.
But yeah, for me, the reason I picked Worst was because it's strong characters, and interesting enough, it's an all-male cast. There's not a single female character, but you don't feel that there's this lack of a female presence. And what I really liked about it is that they stuck to very traditional and honorable natures for all their characters, more or less. And there's that distinct feeling that, this is almost like feudal Japan, or this is, early
it's gonna be like the
Dark Ages Europe, like you have this like sense of nobility, right, about fighting other people. I mean, you don't necessarily like each other, you don't necessarily get along, but if you guys are gonna fight each other, there's a level of respect there. There's a brothership kind of that you build from having this fight against one another, right? It builds an understanding between you two, and I think it's that and the fact that it creates these political paradigms that makes the series really
hands.
Right? Because like I mean, there's so many hands being thrown, but everything has its own purpose. And then when you start getting to the groups and the hierarchies of stuff, because only really at Suzerain is there that individualism of their
until Hana United it.
You go like you go to Host, you go to the Front of Armament guys, you go to the Evil Moth of Dead. They're all groups, right? So to see how those groups interact and kind of play off each other, and that, oh shoot, this guy hit this person, so we have to go and we have to fight those guys now. So there's this whole gang war kind of thing going on, and it's just a really great Yankee kind of manga in that sense.
I love it.
So there's nothing not to love about it. It's a great series. Yeah. Obviously I had to pick Lara Game because deeply psychological, super strong characters.
I liked it.
It's crazy engaging. It's very smart, beautifully constructed.
It's probably one of the better gambling ones, I'd say. Like top 2. I like Kaiji. I like Kaiji a lot as well.
See, that's the thing too. Like, it's not even really about gambling at all. It's just they just happen to money happens to be changing hands and stuff. But really, it's about who can more psychologically mess with somebody else, and how can you get ahead in that way? So it's very smart and very cultured. Right? Yeah. And I think what really stuck with me too is that the aesthetic is very, very minimalist, and so in a sense, it's also kind of contemporary, because nowadays you get we have a lot of these minimalist movements coming out and stuff. So to see Lara Game already doing that early on, and then that coming to the modern day is really nice as well. And I mean, it's obviously worth doing 2 Japanese dramas about it, right? So
yeah.
It's a good time. And it's completed, so that's just another great thing to love about it.
Plus, yeah, to get into it.
Yeah. And then I think the last one I said was Kaguya-sama Wants to Be Confessed To, right?
Yeah, I haven't really gotten to that one. I know what it is. I've read at least 3 chapters, but I don't really never continued.
But I've definitely heard of it.
Honestly, it is the most hilarious romantic comedy manga I have ever read to date.
That's big words. I
read the first chapter, and before I'd even finished the chapter, I'd actually gotten out of my seat and I was already pacing around because I was just so energized by what was going on, because there's a narration to it, and then they'll just start doing ridiculous things, because it's about this guy and this girl who are very clearly not attracted to each other right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
What it is that they eventually start, like they come to the decision that, you know what, we're both equally capable, right? So it'd be nice if, you know, we dated, because nobody else is really that capable. So why would we be interested in anybody else?
Wow.
But hey, I always say that if you're gonna look for a relationship, you find somebody who is as capable as you. Forget about compatibility. All right.
You got it.
but in this situation, they already jumped to that. So I'm like, okay, you guys have my attention with this. And then they went on to say that, okay, you know what? If I confess my feelings to you, then that puts me at the beta level. That means you're the alpha and I'm the beta. So I have to be subservient to you. And so given that paradigm, they're both thinking this exact same thing. So they're both struggling to get the other person to confess to them. So they come up with these grand ass schemes to get the other one to confess to them.
All right, I'll peep it. Sounds funny. All right.
It is hilarious. It is so entertaining. It is so much fun. There's just nothing to not love about it. It's so great. Highly recommend it.
All right, I'll check it out. It's kind of funny. I didn't really give it a fair read. It was like a skim, and I was like, and I just kind of went on with my day. But all right, so my favorite three manga are 321, Medaka Box, Wandering Emenon, and the one and only One Piece. Right. I'm a huge fan of Nishio Ishin and his writing. I think he's kind of a genius, which is why I like Medaka Box a lot. And even though I'm a person who preaches show don't tell, he is a writer, so like it doesn't shock me that there's like I don't lie. The amount of text in that manga is a little ridiculous. There's a lot of dialogue.
Fair.
But he's a writer. He writes a lot of light novels and stuff, and that's what he does. So I think that I don't remember the artist's name right now. I'm so mad I can't remember his name. But like the way he draws like everybody is in this manga, it's just amazing to me. The way it comes to life. My literal favorite manga character, Nazayoka or Kujira Kurakami, is literally in this manga. She's my favorite character like in manga history since I've read this. I think she's a great character. It's got Kumagawa, who's just the GOAT, all fiction. Like it's just a lot to like here. But my favorite thing about it is like it's a mockery of the shonen jump genre. It's satire, right? And a lot of things they do is really cool. Like when they were trying to make Kumagawa like literally become the main character. You're trying to use like, the thing doing it is just cool. But you wouldn't get that from the beginning. You have to kind of give it time to grow, and it gets there later on. So I can understand people who can't really get into it. But if you're patient with it, I promise the payoff is worth it. And there's hands.
Hey.
Titties.
I remember I got into it, like I got into Medaka Box, the series, through the anime at first, and like I thought it was like a cool slice of life. But then they started fighting in the last like episode of the first season, and that's when I got really into it. I started watching Medaka Box Abnormal like the second season, and it was just basically an action arc. But like I thought I was taking it super serious. Like I just thought it was like a regular action anime, and then like all these like hijinks, all these crazy like different arcs. Like each arc, it changes what it's trying to do like drastically, and
the genre shifts. Like it can be this one's a slice of life, this one's action, now this one is something completely different, which is really funny.
I think I remember like what shocked me about Medaka Box the manga was, I think it was the wedding arc. I still can't remember, like I don't remember, they were just playing some elaborate ass game or something, but I remember that arc being my favorite.
And they turn the kids and all kinds of stuff.
The
successor one. But yeah, next one would be Wandering Emenon. Like, I'm trying to remember when I read this. It hasn't been as long as other stuff. It's been at least up around 3-4 years.
I was gonna say 3.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, that sounds about right. Right. Artwork by Kenji Suta, I think it is, and the writer is Kaijo Shinji, I believe. I gotta look it up after just to make sure, but it's not it's one mangaka, it's a writer and artist. But it's about this Immortal, right? She's quite literally as old as the concept of life itself. So before she was, a human, I guess, or what do they call it, she was a concept. Before then she was like a star, then she was like a fish, monkey, human female. And it's just this really cool story of this immortal who is constantly reborn, because like the way her like cycle of rebirth works is literally like, long story short, she gives birth to herself, and she leaves the old shell of her body behind and has to grow up as a child all the way back up into adulthood again, right? And she acts the way I would imagine somebody that old would act. You know how like in Vampire Diaries I always get mad at like Klaus and stuff because he's like, back when I was 2 years old in the forest, my dad dropped me. You're like 1,000 years old. Are you kidding me? Like,
are you still holding on to the most catty?
There's no way that bothers you, right? So she's like really distant, aloof. She's always like almost looking for something stimulating just because like she just is so old, right? Like she's older than life itself. So just like this really cool story. There's no real like point to it. She kind of just wanders around and does shit, but I just like it. It's really endearing, and the artwork shows off how much of an enigma she is, how she's constantly staring into space, like into the sky, just smoking, and it's just really cool. It's not long. I love it.
Super cool. I remember I found like just lurking manga sites. I'm like, this art, the artwork looks really cool. It's a short manga, so let me check this out. It actually really like it made me think of like how would it be to live so long and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then One Piece, I feel like I don't need to explain much because like if you're on the channel, you clearly know I like One Piece. If you know me, you know I like One Piece. Like it's just at this point, it's literally a part of my life. It's been 14 years, right? So it's a part of my weekly schedule. You know, I think about it all the time. And I'm chilling. I'd be like, damn, I wonder what's gonna happen next, or I just on my mind. But to me, like, if you were to ask like one thing, like what makes One Piece like so cool to me is I think it's the ultimate adventure story. And anything that I've read, played, watched, it's like the ultimate adventure story where no matter what island you go to, you just never know what's gonna be there, what's gonna happen. You got an island full of fucking toys and weird shit. You got an island made out complete out of pastries and cakes and cookies, and and then I really realized how expansive and crazy the world would be when they went into the literal sky, like Skypiea, and then they had like the dials, and I was like, this shit is like what sky people from the moon? Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't know what to expect. There's fishermen, giants, fairies. They're just the ultimate adventure story, and I just love it. Like, there's nothing you can do at this point. It's crack to me. It's in my blood. Can't get over it. I'm standing till I die.
It's one of those big series, man. There's a reason. 20 years. Let's go.
Yeah. All right. So what are anime?
Anime. My first favorite anime would be Owari Monogatari, which is my favorite arc in the Monogatari series.
Oh, you specified. All right, shit.
Right. It's my favorite arc. It's not like the other arcs. It's much different. Like it takes place with the new character Ogi and the classroom. And it's like most of the other aspects of the series are supernatural. It is supernatural. The room is out. It's different from the space and time of the room and stuff like that. But I really like that arc because it was just the dialogue was. I think we feel on a much higher level. I mean, Monogatari dialogue in general is always quality. It's always interesting to watch or read.
Yeah, all right.
That's what I'm favorite. My second will be Tatami Galaxy. It's
solid.
Just a really great, slice of life story. It's narrated really differently. It has a narrator. He talks really fast.
It's really abstract.
It's super abstract. The art style is something else. It's really different from the normal anime art style.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a pretty good story about adults in college. How meeting certain people could change the course of your life for a while, for forever actually.
Yep.
And then my third favorite anime would be Ping Pong the Animation. It's just an amazing sports anime. The art style is a bit strange. Most people would say it's not like conventionally anime. It's not conventionally attractive, but
it makes me mad that it's good because I still don't like how it looks.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's me too. Like I don't like how it looks. I'm keeping it completely real. I don't like how it looks, but the story it tells is phenomenal. So.
Yeah. What you, Alan?
For anime, I really liked Iron-Blooded Orphans.
Oh yeah, you've been airing that, yeah.
And that's because it's Gundam, it's contemporary, it's all that mecha goodness, and the story kind of reminds me a little bit of Gundam Wing. I mean, we don't have the 5 protagonists like we did then, but it's that idea that your friends are your family, and you've got to just take care of everybody, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's about that bond that you guys form. Like your friends really are the family that you choose to have with you, right? Yeah. So I think that's really sick. And then the fact that they had this business going on and there's this big political game going around to watch them go from literally being slaves, like child slaves, to this affluent, well-respected company of, you know, like traders and, you know, bodyguards, it's a big change up. It's great to see the come up.
Yeah.
And it's just a unique take on the idea of Gundam. Because in the past, every time that we've seen a Gundam franchise or we've seen a Gundam series, Gundams tend to be these they're these specialized mechas in a way, and they're never really super mass produced or anything. But like, this is the first time that we've actually only ever seen one person piloting a Gundam, and he is the key, like not even that much of a key player. Really, it's about like Orga and all these other people who are on the side, and it's about kind of everybody all at once. It's not just him alone being focused upon. So just the fact that like he can manage a Gundam doesn't necessarily mean that he's like the singular focus. I mean, he has his moments, but Mikazuki is like, and Mikazuki is a cool character, but he kind of takes a backseat to everybody else because he's so quiet in how he works and how he interacts with everybody else. So I think that was really cool. Then I have to say Yojo Senki is my next favorite. It's based off the light novels by Carlos Zen, which are really good. It's very alternative history. So it takes place in World War I, except instead of traditional airplanes and things, you have magicians. So there are mages and people can fly in the air and do all this crazy stuff, but obviously you have to go through military training and you have to have the aptitude to do all that stuff, right?
Right.
And what really got me was that in one episode, she plans a war game for her new mage battalion, and they literally get shelled for 48 hours. Like, it's just bombs dropping on top of them, and they have to defend themselves from that for 48 hours. And then the second that stops, she says, all right, that was great for a warm-up. Now let's go on like a 2-day journey through these mountains to get to the headquarters. And that's going to be the end of training. So she does all this stuff, and it's just a great time because, as it turns out, she's not actually just a young girl. She was originally, she's reincarnated into this young girl's body after being an affluent businessman in our world. And the thing is that upon his death, when he gets hit by a train or a bus, rather, he gets talked to by this god kind of being.
Spoilers, by the way, I guess, guys.
It's not even real spoilers. Like, this,
I don't know.
Happens right away. But like they say explicitly too that like, since he doesn't believe in God and he doesn't believe in all this stuff, he's like, well, let's just throw you in a situation where like your life is in danger all the time, so that way, you know, you have to come to believe in God, sort of. Right? So it's about him kind of going against God and doing all this stuff. And I like the idea that, you know, there's a self-made man and you do all this kind of thing, and you know,
that's the one where the guy gets reincarnated into the Okay, you got it. All right, next.
And yo, it's good. Everybody needs to watch that. Yeah,
you got it.
Hold on. Give me 1 second. Go through yours.
Okay. All right. I'll go through mine. 3, 2, 1. Psychopaths, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and Monogatari. But since Cal specified his was Owari, I'll say Monogatari season 2 because that's where most of the parts of the light novel that I'm a fan of were adapted in that season. 26 episodes plus 1 recap. But Psychopaths is a modern classic. If you know me, I love cyberpunk. Like, you can be like a cyberpunk and I'm already there. Like, I'm gonna watch it, I'm gonna read it, I'm gonna play it. I mean, I like it, but I'm gonna give it a chance because like cyberpunk worlds are just very interesting to me. I think Makishima Shoujo is like a top tier villain, like antagonist. He is incredible.
He is the GOAT.
His presence, even when he's not there, was always felt, and he just changed the complete dynamic of the show to the point where him not being there to me has done nothing but hurt it. As good as the movie was, it's just not the same without him in it. And you know, season 2, everyone has their qualms about it. I don't hate it. It's my least favorite part of the whole overall narrative, but I don't hate it, especially since Akane had a lot of good development, and I never liked her in the first season.
True.
JoJo, I like the mangas a lot too, but I actually enjoy the anime more, just hearing their nonsense and over the top. Like, JoJo to me is just fun. Like, I don't think it's for me, like, you don't have to like JoJo, it's fine, but I feel like if you really hate it, like, you just don't like to have fun. You're not supposed to be sitting there talking about the speed of light and whatever, and like don't take it so seriously. Like, it's just a fun manga with these grown ass men with these fucking psychic powers, with these psychic beats behind them, doing nonsense, striking ridiculous poses with the most over the top art and weirdest color schemes and outrageous fashions. Like this just scream, like, I don't know how you watch this and you don't just smile at how ridiculous it is. Even from the first season, like having fucking Speedwagon just screaming out the most obvious. Like, I don't need your exposition, guy. Like, shut up. He used to make me laugh. And I'm like,
yeah, Speedwagon's voice acting is phenomenal.
yeah, man. So
that's wild.
I don't know. I just love JoJo.
You have a favorite part in the anime, or?
In fact, what's been like in terms of adaptations, I'm guessing my favorite part. No, it's still 2. Yeah, it'll be 2.
Okay.
It'll be 2, but visually 4. 4 looks the best. I always thought if they used the opening animation, they used for the openings, it would be a lot better than that weird kind of style that David Productions used for the first 3 seasons. But I don't hate it. It just 4 cleaned it up a lot, and then Monogatari again, another Nishio Ishii light novel series, one of my favorite writer. And this series to me was just extremely intriguing from the jump because of how weird it was directed. I just it took me a while for it to click because it was like these weird cuts, and then I had to know what was symbolism and what was actually happening, and then there was just a lot of dialogue, and I don't know, man. The way it looks is just great. Like Shaft has done a great job adapting this into something special to the point where it's like even if you don't care about what they're saying, you're still gonna be stimulated visually. So like I can like if you let me go on, I won't shut up. So but yeah, I just love that.
Another thing that got me about Monogatari was when I was first watching Bake was the soundtrack. It's so different from every other anime soundtracks. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it fits the scenes really well to me.
Yeah. I want to say let's save the other 2 for the next one, just because this took longer than I thought.
Sure.
Right. Let's just hop into like what's your general preference, anime or manga, and why?
For me, it's I'm gonna go with manga because it just takes less time to consume. It's like your average like 10 volume or 20 volume manga, you can knock that out in like 4 to 6 hours, maybe 8 at most.
Yeah.
But you're like 25 or like 30 plus episode anime that would just take longer. If you're gonna watch it subbed, like with subs in Japanese, then it would take long because you have to focus and read subs. But dubbed anime is still fine. But like optimally, like if I had to choose between like the best anime or the best manga, I would have to go for the best anime because the voices, the soundtrack, it adds a lot to the series. I mean, I would definitely read the manga if it's originally adapted from a manga and watch the anime. I would definitely do both, but there are just some anime out there that are just like perfect adaptations out like Hunter x Hunter 2011.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that anime is better than the original manga simply because the art style is better, the soundtrack is great, and
agreed.
It doesn't tell the complete story, but has a lot of content. It's overall a well done adaptation. I can't really say the same for the Hunter x Hunter manga because there's hiatus issues.
Yikes!
The artwork
he thought he could come off hiatus and just scribble with no background. Fuck you.
Right. And the artwork in the manga does not look good to me. Like it looks okay, I guess, but
yeah, it has moments, I would say.
Yeah, that has moments, but overall, it's not that great. Like especially when you watch the anime and see all the tactical aspects to the Nen battles, and then you try to like read the manga, it's just not the same. Like it sucks. Like I would say the manga sucks for real. Like.
Oh, do you, Alan? I agree though.
For me, it's a situational thing. I think that if it's an anime that's based off of a light novel, then I'd want to watch the anime instead of reading whatever manga adaptations that sometimes come with that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it comes to the visuals, like you don't get that when you read the light novel. So an anime tends to be really well done in that regard, in that they portray how the characters are, what they look like, and all this other stuff. And so it makes for a better time, I think, anyway. Because because then you have no manga really to go off of, and the manga usually follows after that. So in those situations, I prefer the anime. But more traditionally, I do like reading a manga as opposed to watching an anime. Again, because of what Kyle says, like it's just that there's a time gap, right? If I read a manga, I can demolish 100 chapters in a couple of hours. It doesn't take me very long. But
Yeah.
if I'm gonna watch, like, say, a season of Yojo Senki or something, then that's 12, 24 episodes, and that's 30 minutes into that. So I'm spending, what is that, like
I think it's like 8 or 9 hours.
720 minutes like just going through this stuff, right? Like that's not what I want to spend my whole time doing. I want to do other things, right? There's got to be time to do other stuff, and I can't really take breaks either, because during that 30 minutes you got to watch that nearly unbroken, because if you stop or if you pause or something during an episode, then sometimes you might have missed something, or you might need to rewatch a little bit of something in order to get back to the point of that re-engagement of what is happening in a scene. Right?
Yeah.
In a manga, that doesn't happen. Like, the chapters tend to be pretty short. You go to like maybe 16, 18. And even like with the monthly ones, I think the most that I've seen is maybe 50. So like it's pretty easy that, like, okay, I'm just gonna hang on for 1 second. I'll go do this and I'll come right back. Because to go back one page, there are maybe 7, 8 panels, and you just go through them again. Like,
yeah, really quickly.
It's a non-issue. But you don't get that when you watch an anime, right? So it's more efficient in my mind to like read the manga. And then sometimes too, anime adaptations of a manga are not usually representative of what goes on, right? Because like, look at how much people love Tokyo Ghoul, right? People are crazy about that series, and in my mind is actually not that good, because the way that the drawings are done and the way that the manga is written are so iconic and really gritty in ways that the anime just can't reproduce.
Also, his art style is kind of weird, to the point where sometimes when there's action, I don't know what's happening. I don't know who's doing what.
Oh yeah.
Right, it's super confusing. Even choreography-wise, it's really hard to grasp.
But that's what it is. It's about the kineticism of it. It's not so much the actual what is happening. It's about the feeling of what is happening.
And he puts emphasis on like the impact of the wound and stuff. Like, I don't think he's just trash. It's just from like, sometimes I'm like, I don't even know. This guy just got stabbed by whatever the fuck Kagune and the fuck they call that.
I think that's just because he's trying to be very artistic and poetic with what he's writing. So that's like it comes through in the artistry as well. Because when he's doing
shout out to Suzuya, best boy.
Because I'm just saying, like, for me, in that series, the iconic moment is when he becomes the centipede for a bit, right? And he has that freak out moment where he just, like, saying all this stuff that Jason said to him when he was getting tortured, right? So
for me, it's when he accepts that he's a ghoul.
Oh, that was also pretty that was also pretty phenomenal moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But I'm just saying that for me, the centipede one really stuck out and stuck with me because of the visual of the manga. When you see that happen, you're just, oh my god, it made you really uncomfortable. Like, it feels really uncomfortable. The emotion is all there, right? It gives you a strong quality that you just don't get, because when you're watching the anime, I mean, it's cool to see that that's happened, right? But it doesn't come across the same way.
Yeah, it doesn't capture it like well at all.
Exactly.
For me, it's manga, like, really easily. Just I rather read it than watch it, because watching sometimes takes too long. I don't find most adaptations are up to snuff, I guess. I mean, there's a lot that I do like Hunter. I think JoJo is equally as good. I wouldn't say it's better. I would say it's equally as good. And then some of them have like their moments and stuff. But for me, it's usually very simple. Whatever the original medium is what I'm going to do first.
Yeah.
So would I read a Kingdom Hearts manga? No. I'm gonna play the Kingdom Hearts video game, right?
Yeah.
If this is an original anime, am I gonna read like the manga adaptation? No, I'm gonna watch the anime. If it's a manga originally, I'm gonna read the manga. If it's a light novel, I'm gonna read the light novel. It's a visual novel, I'm gonna play the visual novel. That's just how I am, right? I'm just gonna go with the original medium. So for me, it's never been that difficult. But generally speaking, if it's a manga though, I'll just read the manga because it's easier for me. I like it. Just I've been doing it for how many years now? Just ingrained in me. Just is what it is. But that being said, Is there anything that you guys are currently reading or watching? I mean, obviously, we're all going through a lot of ongoing stuff, and that can take forever. But I mean, like anything like that's relatively new-ish that you've picked up in terms of reading or watching anime, manga, or even webtoon or something.
I started reading anime. The only thing I've been watching is Love Stage, and I've been thinking of starting Bungo Stray Dogs, which everyone like hypes to death.
Oh yeah, really good, really good.
Yeah, I was thinking of watching the anime or maybe reading the manga. I'm not sure what I want to do yet, but the anime looks better than the manga to me, so I might just go with the anime.
Oh yeah, it's the visuals, man. The animation.
I saw like a clip someone posted on like Twitter or something, and the animation like off the charts. Like it looked like super clean. So I was like, all right, I might have to watch this. It's like a 25 episode series, 2 seasons. So
I didn't finish the second season, but I liked what I saw.
Right? It's an action series, right? Like I'm kind of having a hard idea of thinking what it is, because like another main character is named Osamu Dazai, and that's like my favorite Japanese literature author. So I'm like, is this like a retelling of No Longer Human or something? I don't know what it.
No, it's not like that.
All right. Yeah,
it's a lot of fighting. It's a lot of fighting.
You know, it's funny. It's funny because when I watched it, I didn't know who that was. I didn't want to put me on Japanese literature, so
right.
I'm gonna have to go back. But to see if there's any kind of connection just in terms of his lifestyle and whatnot, I don't remember that well. But I saw that didn't you start reading Kimetsu no Yaiba, something like that? I can't remember what it's called.
I have. Yeah, yes, I'm caught up on that.
How's that?
It's a solid battle shonen. I'm keeping it completely real. I was really bored for like the first 30 chapters because it wasn't that impressive. But around chapter like 41 or 43, they introduced like this main like hero group of like I think they're called the Pillars, and like they're all like sick as fuck. They have really unique designs. Overall, the manga has like a really different kind of art style. Keeping it honest, it looks creepy as hell, but like it's like the good kind, I guess. Like everyone in that manga looks super creepy, like something. It is like kind of like a horror, supernatural, dark fantasy kind of manga. So it makes me has that art style. But yeah, I would say it's overall a solid series. It's nothing amazing yet, but it only has like 110 chapters, so you have to give it some time.
All right, but it's better than Black Clover, right?
Yeah, it is. It is at the same amount of chapters, but I think Black Clover has more potential because it world builds and stuff like that. Like this manga is very like small scale. I would say like.
All right, it's got potential.
Yeah, small scale, yeah.
All right. I just gotta throw a bunch in there.
Hey, don't forget, man. Black Clover has that beat, that quickness.
Rapido. Ale, beat. All right, what about you?
For me, I mean, there's Kaguya-sama obviously that I'm reading, but I've been watching Darling in the Franxx, which is in my mind a mashup of Evangelion and Toppen Tenge Gurren Lagann.
That's the one by Trigger, right? With the
I think it's by Trigger as well. So
I don't trust the TL. So
I mean you can't. It's hard to trust Trigger after the last couple of things that they did. I won't lie.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it stacked. I don't think Little Witch Academy is like trash, but like I don't care, and I didn't like Kill la Kill. I'm sorry, I don't like it. Yeah. Fuck you.
but this I actually find enjoyable. I don't know what it is because I'm really against Evangelion in general. But like
you have to talk about that one day.
Yeah. But I mean they make this work. I think it's because it's contemporary. The animation is really fluid, and the characters are just really more relatable, more likable overall than the characters from Evangelion. But maybe that's just me. I don't know. Okay, I can't say for anybody else who is a big fan of that series, but
I like it.
But actually, even more than that, I think the one thing I'm enjoying the most right now is Space Battleship Tiramisu.
I don't know what that is.
And it's basically right now. I think they're on 3 episodes, and each episode is 7 minutes.
Oh yes, it's just one little short one. That's the goal. Oh, I'll hop on immediately because that's that quick. That's my favorite format. I was like anywhere from like 4 to 11 minutes episode. Go.
See, because this is the thing. In addition to that, though, it's the fact that it's about mecha. Like, but they made it a comedy. So it's a strange kind of paradigm. But they've done it so perfectly, you can't help but enjoy yourself. Like everything about it is just satirical and funny. Like there's nothing serious kind of going on. There's no overarching like big plot or anything. It's just something light to watch. It's very nice.
Okay. For me, I started reading. Is it called Golden Kamuy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I got about 16 chapters in, and then one of my boys hit me up, and I decided they should take the episodes and watch it at his house. So we watched 2 episodes. It was all right. Like I'm not loving it. I don't hate it. It's okay so far. Then there was Megalobox, the Ashita no Joe like 50th anniversary celebration thing, where it's like it's boxing, but it's they have like their little cybernetic enhancements to make it like robo boxing, I guess, or cyborg boxing, kind of. Not really, but it's cool. It's cool. 2 episodes in, I'm not like it's not blowing me away or nothing. But what I do like about it is it's reminiscent of that like 2000 style, because it looks a little bit Samurai Champloo-esque, and like that era of like animation. Like it doesn't look like new, but it's clean. Resolution is fine, but it doesn't look like how a new anime would look. So I like that.
It feels vintage.
Yeah, that's from what I saw of it. Yeah, it really does look. It does look like classic as hell.
The opening is trash though. It's so bad. And
the
like
music suffers.
there's like having a bad opening and a good song, and then a good song and a bad opening. They're both trash. The song and the visual. Like I get the whole idea that he's a stray dog, and it's supposed to be all like, oh, you get it, like. He's a stray dog. I'm like, yes, opening. Are you just gonna show me a running dog for a minute and a half for real? Like that shit was so trash. But it's cool.
Yeah, but I appreciate the lo-fi hip hop. Like they put in some good music into the actual overarching soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack is fine.
It's just ambience.
Opening is whack to me. But
the opening is whack.
So literally yesterday. I'm gonna save part of this for like the next segment, but I went through Hiroaki Samura's entire body of work, right? Yeah. Because prior to yesterday, I've only read Blade of the Immortal, and is it called Bradley no Coach or whatever? That really fucked up one. Yeah, where the girls just get like sexually assaulted for like whatever 10 chapters it was, and
that shit was super weird and keeping this back.
Yeah, it was weird. I don't get the point. It was just like what? I don't know. But here's the thing with him. I feel like he's one of the few mangaka that's like fully explored different avenues of like what comedy. He's done comedy, he's done slice of life, he's done love, he's done Blade of the Immortal, action, etc., and he's done very graphic stuff. Like if you've seen Love of the Brute, like his art book with like all the like kind of sexually mutilated women and stuff. It's just weird. It's hard to explain, right? It's like beauty of form, because he doesn't sexualize breasts and like ass the way that most mangaka do, but like the nape of the neck and like the part between the ribs of the stomach, and like behind the part of the knee, like the parts that he puts like the beauty on and the shades it are not like typically like the breast and stuff, and their chest and stuff are always very proportionate to like their body type. I was fine.
Yeah, none of them have like super massive breasts and stuff like that. They're just like all normal, proportionally normal women.
Yeah, but well, I guess since we all went, I can just segue into the next part. I guess so. I'll just keep going. But for me, I literally made a video about this manga today. I think he specializes in violence, sex, and women. That's what he's good at doing, right? Those 3 things. Now, for me, so Alan, you have to pronounce this because I'm gonna butcher it. I'm gonna say Diewell Gelder. So say however you're supposed to pronounce it in German.
Oh, it's Diewell Gelder.
What he said, right? So same mangaka as Blade of the Immortal, but here's the thing I like about it is I think he took one thing I had a problem with Blade of the Immortal and fixed it, which was the fact that I think we can. I don't know if you read it. Have you read it, Alan? I don't know if you read it.
No, I haven't.
Well, I don't know if you care though, but whatever. I'm going all in. I will say Rin is the emotional crux of the story, and it's centered around her and her revenge, right? And to me, she's probably the most emotionally stable, strongest character. And I don't think anybody who knows the series would argue with me that Maki is the most compelling character, right?
Right.
The problem with those two characters is that they're tethered to their male counterparts, Onotsu and Manji, right? Which is my issue. Where it's like, even though Maki could literally wash anybody in that manga because she's the strongest combatant there, bar none, right?
Right.
She's still tethered to Onotsu and his dealings and whatnot. And then Manji is basically the muscle for all of Rin's ambitions, right?
Mm-hmm.
What we got with this manga here is that removal. So it's all the three women, separate women, doing their own thing and having the ability and power to back up what they want to do, which is very awesome. So it's got that like Arrow Girl, like very violent kind of sex that he has in like Love of the Brute.
Yeah.
Well, like the thing that I like about it is like this one character, Nami, right, where she kind of messed up past. I'm not going to spoil it or anything. I want you guys to all read it or not, but basically, she's gone through like a lot of hardship, trauma, and sexual abuse. But leave it at that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know how like psychology is sometimes, where like whatever environment you live in or you are in is what you end up in when you're older. It's kind of like funny to me how like she's like this pretty like competent like combatant assassin, all stuff, but as like a day job or like the hide and play site, she works as a prostitute, right? And she can take high levels of like sexual, I guess I don't want to call it, I don't want to say violence, but like she has a high pain tolerance, I guess you could say. And she gets tank shit and does not like mess with her because I guess she's used to it. But like I think it's cool. The premise is dope. There's this one really weird this guy has sex with a mermaid. I swear to God, I don't know why it's in there. It's just the randomest thing. You're just chilling at the end of the chapter, and this guy just like goes to a pool, and a mermaid pops out, and he just starts clapping. I'm like, what? But
okay. It was something else after I read Love of the Brooks. I'm like, this shit is so strange. Like,
is it just an artist thing? Like, it's just artistic?
Like they tried to like oh, she was like mutilated, and they did that. They're like, no. You just make a mermaid and fuck it. Like there was no reason for this. But I'm liking it. It's 2 volumes in. I can only find 15 chapters so far. In Japan, they have 3 volumes.
I'm surprised mermaid sex. Why not?
I'm liking it really good, and I think that his action is very good because people always tell me like the action in Blade of the Immortal is good. I kind of disagree. I think the Manji fight with oh Lord, what's the dude's name who had his arm? I don't remember his name right now.
What was his name?
Okay, that
I'm talking about the evil.
Fight was, that fight was great, right? But all the best choreographed scenes come from Maki because his strength is portraying violence from women and against women, which is like the unfortunate part, but like that's just what he excels at. So when she's fighting, it's great. So all the women in this manga can throw hands, so you're just seeing them clap niggas like it's crazy, and I think it's fire. Like you should have to check it out.
Yeah, Maki is nice. What the great aspects of Blade of the Immortal is like if you read something like just your average samurai manga, they use like a regular swords, but like in Blade of the Immortal, they use all types of bladed weapons. Like
even though Notsu's weird, like angled heavy sword.
Yeah, it's kind of like an axe sword. He uses like lots of different types of swords and stuff. And that's what's great about Blade of the Immortal is the different weapon types shown in all the fighters. Like they all use very different types of weapons, and it really showcases what Samura can do. Like as an artist, like when he draws his fights.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what's going next?
Wait, what? I'm sorry. What was the original topic?
Oh, basically like a mangaka or anime spotlight. Like recommend something for someone to read. Like for me, I just kind of did a Samura spotlight in general, but I'll specify Blade of the Immortal if you haven't, and Die Well Gelder, whatever fuck. Die Well Gelder, Hi Hitler, Die Führer, whatever fuck.
The Vergelder.
Yeah.
You jerk.
Die the Führer. All right, so what would you want to recommend to the people or us or both, whatever that you're really into? Could be could be a manhwa or a manhue, a manga, anime, whatever.
I think what everybody should be reading right now is Hardcore Leveling Warrior.
Yeah,
I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're into. Hardcore Leveling Warrior is literally for everybody. I think maybe the most difficult thing about this series is that it's maybe a little bit challenging to get through chapter 1 because you either like the main character or you don't like him. And his personality is very
polarizing.
I want to say a little bit abrasive because he comes off kind of cocky in how he acts. But so I feel like I know that you like him right away. Like he's just your kind of guy. Like that's the man you want on your squad. Like he's just a good character in that sense because he's very intelligent, he's very smart, and it's not that his pride is not misplaced. Like he's the #1 player in the game world, and he just goes ham and cheese. He just does all this kind of stuff. It just so happens that one day, like when he's out there in the field, something happens to him. And it forces him to basically become the lowest ranked player in the entire game.
Oh shit!
After being the top rank, he goes back to the bottom of the barrel. So it's just him struggling to get back to where he was before. And there's this huge conspiracy going around. There are these big mysteries, overarching mysteries happening, and it's just him trying to figure out the difference between, I guess, what it is to be like in the game and what it is to be like in the real world. Because, and light spoilers here. The game that they play is this thing called Lucid Adventure. And the game itself is derived from a device that they have, I guess, implanted into them. And it basically allows you to play the game while you sleep.
Oh, yeah. So, okay. That was actually my first guess.
Yeah, so waking up in the game wakes you up into real life. And so there are people who have that disconnect that sometimes I feel that when I'm in the game is the real world. And right? Like there's this big disconnect that you don't get when you watch something like Log Horizon or you watch something like Sword Art Online. So in that sense, it's very its own. It keeps to itself. And the thing is that he has such a unique artistic style and a unique taste. I'm sorry, not taste, but a unique take on how to draw his characters and create characters and their abilities and things. So even if you've seen somebody who's a mage, or you've seen somebody who's a swordsman, or you've seen somebody who, does all this kind of stuff, right? Whatever it is, spellcasting, fighting, healing. He takes those concepts and he makes them his own. He changes them for individual characters. And so when you see somebody do something like that, it's becomes its own thing.
He's lying.
Like it's crazy how good this series is. Sometimes I can't believe how good this series is. And the best part about it, maybe, in addition to all those other amazing things that it has going on,
all the lies,
that you get 2 chapters every week as well. So it's just you get double the fire.
For a while, Kingdom would drop 2 a week. Am I tripping?
No, they were just catching up to the scanlation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a while back. Yeah, I remember when that was.
All right, Alan, I'll check it out.
Just do it. Everybody should be reading that series. It's too good to pass up, man. Everybody can love it. It's so great.
All right, Kyle. What's your spotlight?
My mangaka spotlight is gonna be on Atsushi Okubo, who is the mangaka who created Soul Eater and Fire Force.
And Soul Eater not. You're just gonna leave out. Leave out Soul Eater not the GOAT. Shit.
Wow, stop this. There's a reason it has not in the name.
That shit is booty. All right, type my mind. Go on.
All right, so I would say start out with Fire Force because it's newer. It has a crisp, clean art style, like same as Soul Eater. It's pretty much same, but character designs are much different. They're pretty unique. If you have read Soul Eater, you can recognize his style right away, and I feel like Fire Force improved from that a long way. It has well choreographed action scenes. The main character also has a unique fighting style. He uses fire in a sort of like acrobatic kind of way, similar. If you've ever heard of like the martial art capoeira, it's kind of like that, but it's more with like superpowers. Manga has a interesting take on supernatural events and a diverse amount of abilities for the universe. The main universe and the supernatural abilities mainly revolve around fire, but you'd be shocked at the amount of creative things characters do in this manga just with fire.
Actually, I totally co-sign that.
Right. As for Soul Eater, I would say Soul Eater is just Soul Eater. It's whatever you do, don't go with the anime because you can watch the anime as long as you read the manga afterwards
or before.
or over 4, yeah. But
or during.
Soul Eater's always been really good. I would say top 10 shonen action manga of all time, maybe towards the lower end. The manga, to keep it completely real, like the manga at the beginning of the Soul Eater manga, like it sucks. It sucks. It's really ugly, but it gets much better around like chapter 30.
I think
around where the after, yeah, that if you read the manga from the start, it looks really bad. Like it looks like he just started drawing, but he gets much better around where the anime diverges from the manga, which is chapter 37. And throughout the I think it's like 112 chapters throughout the run, the artwork gets a lot better. He really finds his style.
I kind of like that though, like growing with your mangaka, like as they're getting better as the story goes along, a drawing, kind of perfecting the art style, even if they're changing it or tweaking it, like a D Gray Man, like D Gray Man chapter 1 doesn't look anything like how it looks now.
Right. Yeah.
I like that.
Exactly, like because when you draw so much on a daily basis, like your style is gonna change because you just constantly drawing. You just live and like eat and breathe drawing, so that's how they get so much better. And yeah, I would agree with that. By the way, like D. Gray Man's art style, the newer art style in the newer chapters looks much better than the original stuff.
Agreed.
But I mean, if you think about it too, when you originally started watching those series, they felt that they were pretty well drawn too.
Yeah. I thought I agree with that. Honestly, I thought your game looked good at the start, but it just got better and better.
Yeah, it's like compared to where it's at now, there's a big gap. But
right.
even when I first started reading D. Gray Man, I'm just like, this is a very like attractive kind of manga.
Yeah, I don't remember being enamored with the artwork, but I just like the series. but like artistry is something I paid attention to when I got older. Before that, I was all narrative. Yeah, like I'll read anything as long as the right plot is good.
There's nothing wrong with that. Like that's how I used to be. Full troglodyte for it. Like
that's what I used to be. All right, so
I have a quick point.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like when I get into manga, like when I first started getting into manga, reading a lot, I used to like read the first chapter. If the artwork sucked, I didn't continue. But I realized that's not fair to the artist because many artists start out drawing and that's their first manga, so they're not as good. But if you check every 50 chapters for a weekly manga, that is about a year's worth of chapters. And check every 50, 50, 100, 150, 200, 250, and you can really see the amount of growth in every year of their serialization. And that's what helped me like get over like manga that don't look that great at the start because I know it'll get better, so I just stick with it.
Even like the webtoons, like the Korean ones, the manhwa, like a I'm sorry, Tower Gods was ugly in the beginning.
Yeah,
but it was raw. And I remember looking back at like Noblesse, where I'm like, this is not ugly, but it looks so much better now.
Yeah,
for sure,
I agree.
It comes off really well.
So next segment I talk about is the one that Kyle came up with, which is actually pretty interesting. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this, but it'll be like, so when it comes to manga and anime, whatever, all that stuff, Japanese things and Korea, whatever, what genre or type of story would you like to see explored? That something you never really seen that you'd be like, man, this would be. I think if someone competent made, an anime about an eraser meaning a pencil, be dope. Like whatever it may be. Like, what do you think would be a good concept for like a manga that you haven't seen before?
Should I go first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, my ideal story has always I'm huge into like shonen action series, mainly fantasy stuff over science fiction. So what I've always wanted to see, I've seen it done kind of in a way with Soul Eater. It takes place in like a military academy, but it's more like on a smaller scale. Like what I would want to see is like kind of like a military-based academy based on like soldiers' ranks, rising through the rank, kind of like in Kingdom, but more schooly. Like set in a school setting, and with fantasy aspects, kind of like how Kingdom is with the the generals and how the main character struggle to rise through the ranks and become a general in the army.
Yeah,
and him learning how to fight, and learning tactics, all that great stuff that's usually in fantasy series. That's the kind of thing I want to see. Military based academy like fantasy stories. That's what I want to see in anime manga. I'm sure it exists, and in certain ways Naruto does the same thing. The with the Ninja Academy, but it's not the same because it's what they do is not what I want to see. Like it does it in certain ways. You know, they fight in wars, they go on missions, but I would like to see like straight up more like the tactical side of fighting in war, and you know, war campaigns instead of war arcs. I want to see entire war campaigns. That's what I would like to see.
That'd be interesting, actually. That's dope.
Right, it would be, but I feel like many don't do it is because it's really difficult to
They,
that kind
and
of
they would have to do extensive amounts of
research. Right, yeah, totally,
and understand tactics and stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
do a bunch of things.
Mine is really, really simple. It's not very complicated. Like for me, it's always been the same thing for like, I don't know. Whenever I finish Kuroko, I'm like, a hockey manga would just be raw. And I'm not even a hockey guy, right? Well, I'm like, someone needs to make a hockey. Like I found one that's this weird reverse harem, but that's not what I want. I want one like that's like a Kuroko-esque, Prince Tennis-esque, whatever, you know, haiku, yeah, superpower, but even like haiku level, like
okay,
normalish. Hockey manga, like I think it'd be super dope to see them like, you know, on ice, and like I don't think it's popular in Japan, so like that could be a story element you play with. And then it's like there's Ice Shield, which is, you know, they have a bunch of sports like, you know, mixed martial arts and boxing that you see a lot.
There's also the biking one. What's it called? Oh,
yeah, but I'm saying like this is a sport that's a contact sport, right?
Right.
And you can literally throw hands in hockey, right? So I feel like they have a lot to play with. Like I can imagine them playing, you know, he's like in his head and he's going around. He's like, you know, that's like, you know, Sushi Nuraki, and he's like, you know, he's the best like body checker and, you know, in the nation. And he's like shoulder crasher, like hit you to the board. Like I feel like it would be so sick if they did it. Like, you know, you're the top defender, and they call him like, oh, he's like the Great Wall of China. No one gets past him. What the fuck you want to call him? Like, you know, there's stupid over the top epithets for like their like positions. And I'm like, dude,
yeah, that
could be a lot of fun.
And then like just having the hockey swag too when they're walking around the uniform, like to see their take on it would be dope, man. I don't know. I feel like they're missing out on that. Right. I would love to see that.
Right. Like, another one I would love to see is fucking track and field, bro. You know, growing up as like a track and field guy, like along with soccer, like seeing a take on fucking a sports anime with track and field would be so dope. I can already imagine the dual meets and how intense they would be. Like they could be so high. Maybe not so much for the long distance races, but you know, for like the long jump, the triple jump, the pole vaulting, and even the high jump would be sick too. And I think the most hype thing that could possibly be explored in a track anime would probably be the 4x1 relay, 4x100 meter relay.
Oh, I would love that.
That can be so hype. Like what you know, growing up, going to track meets, all that kind of stuff. Like they're so exciting. They're beyond exciting. And like I had this like idea of like, I know the main character can be like an amateur rookie sprinter. You know, he's pretty quick, but he's not that good yet. He's not elite yet. He's not like national level yet. And like, imagine him, he has a big shot to like, you know, go to nationals. You know, like how every major sports, you know, anime starts out, they have a chance to go to nationals and they lose in the first like inter high arc, and then, you know, that's how they grow.
Yeah.
Like afterwards, like imagine if he like the main character like drops the baton. He's like the anchor, right? And they give him a big shot to like win, but he drops the baton and then he totally gets demolished. That would be a great thing to explore, because like a lot of people think your track is so easy and there's no technique. All you have to do is run fast or run for a long period of time, and just there's so much more to it than that. There's lots of psychological elements to track and field, and in general, track and field is like one of the most elitist kind of sports out there, because it's just running and jumping and that stuff. You really need to have a strong discipline to be at a high level in this kind of sport.
You know, that's interesting that you say that too, because it's a lot about the simplicity, but there's a complexity like hidden kind of within that.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Right. For me, I think what I would say is I'd love to see them explore something more like Western sci-fi, because if you look at a lot of sci-fi series or sci-fi manga or sci-fi anime, there's a very, very distinct and very obvious Japanese influence that's there. So you won't, like, there's no way that you can mistake like any sci-fi work that is written by a Japanese person, because it just comes off in a certain way. There's just an ambience to it that is
There's
just
also their ethics and morals and where they come from. That's always sprinkled in there that we can always tell.
Exactly. So it comes off very, very, like obvious that this is like a Japanese sci-fi work. I would love to see them take more of a Western take on something like sci-fi. I think that could be really exciting, because like especially nowadays with works like Leviathan and Ready Player One and Armada and Red Rising, like there are so many great like Western-esque, European-esque sci-fi based series. So I mean, why not try to like take one of those kind of ideas and like revamp them or reimagine them a little bit, and then give them more like a the Japanese-esque twist, but like try to keep some of those same elements. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's totally not like a foreign thing, because like if you read like Japanese like fantasy manga, they take the Western style of fantasy often. Like you see stuff like Berserk, Vinland Saga, like they do that kind of thing often, like where they take like a Western more take on a genre, and they like show their take.
They're definitely big on D&D over there. So that's why like you have the traditional archetypes. You always get elves, you always get dwarves, you get all this stuff. Like, I mean, they've obviously reimagined a lot of those things, because when you look at how they portray trolls and other stuff in things like Berserk, like it's different from how we, conceive those things.
Exactly.
Like, the image of a troll that I get when I think about trolls is very different from the image of trolls that they get when they, showcase that kind of same thing. So, I mean, it's interesting to see those differences too. And the thing is that it works. Right? Like you read something like Berserk and you know that it's really heavily inspired by Western influences. It comes off very Shakespearean, very dark, but it's kind of its own animal as well, right?
Exactly.
There's that essence
of its own fucking trash.
Hey, there's no need to be cheesed, man. Why are you so upset? Let a man live.
By the way, Shaman King bike, goat.
Are they really?
Again?
Actually?
Yeah.
They're weird. Flowers?
Flowers got like canceled because the magazine got shut down.
It's called. It just says Shaman King's new arc gets 3 prologue chapters before May debut.
What the hell?
We in here. Sorry, that was so random. But yeah, I got you on that. I still think Berserk's trash after the Golden Age arc, but you can always tell that it's a Japanese dude.
Yeah, big guy.
Totally.
But yeah, like it's not that they don't have Western influences. I just like to see something Western adapted for something Japanese instead of the other way around. Because we did that kind of crap with what is it? The Edge of Tomorrow for
Oh yeah, I know.
All You Need Is Kill. Like
All You Need Is Kill.
What the hell was that nonsense? No, like get that away from me. That's disgusting. Don't do that. Like, do something else, you clowns. Like,
and what's his name? Battle Angel Alita is getting a live action film soon.
Yeah, that's also pretty concerning.
Stop.
Stop.
I'm gonna keep it a stack and say I'm not gonna watch it, but
let's just pretend that's not a thing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
All right. So I often see in the TL people always arguing about, I guess specifically Weekly Shonen Jump and the state of the magazine and its future, because it doesn't have 3 juggernauts like a Naruto and a One Piece and a Bleach, quote unquote, carrying it. And back in the day, it didn't have something like a JoJo or, Dragon Ball and shit like that, right? So I was originally going to say what we think about the state of battle shonen in general, but let's start off with like the magazine Shonen Jump, right? Do you think it's in any danger? Is the future looking bright? What should people be reading right now from that magazine and what to look out for? Shit like that. So like I'll start. Like for me, like if it's not One Piece, you should read Haikyuu. Like I think Haikyuu is really good. Exactly. One of my favorite sports manga. But out of the newer things I picked up, I'm a pretty big fan of The Promised Neverland. I'm enjoying it. I'm a little behind, but I'm enjoying it. I think it's really. It shocked me that Jump was the one that published this. Like I didn't see like a Shonen Sunday or whatever. Like, oh shit, Jump did this. Like, kudos to them for taking like a shot on it like that, which was dope. But like, what do you guys think?
Yeah, for Shonen Jump, what you need to be reading, obviously One Piece. I mean, if you're not caught up in One Piece now, then it might be a little bit of a challenge. It might take you a while, but One Piece is always something to be reading. Haikyuu definitely, and I do believe Kimetsu no Yaiba is in Shonen Jump.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. I just looked it up. Yeah, it is in Shonen Jump, and that's something.
They have a couple of new series coming out, like No One Notes. That could be out already, I think.
Right, because they're not that their newer stuff is not that popular. I think Haikyuu is like the newest thing that's like actually huge as fuck. Like,
what do you think about Soma?
Really well.
Shokugeki no Soma. What do you think about that? Like, is that important? You think you need to be reading that?
It's fun, I guess, but I don't think it's that special.
That's fair. What about you, Alan? All right, nice talk. Alan? Okay. Well, what about Black Clover? Because Black Clover is something I've seen a lot. Obviously, I rip on it a lot. I don't even hate Black Clover, which is the funny part, right?
Right.
My issue with Black Clover, or with a lot of these newer manga that I read from these magazines and stuff, is they feel uninspired. And also when I read them, I could read it and be like, oh, you were probably a huge fan of A, B, and C, because I could see A, B, and C's works. Not that you stole it, but the influence is there. Right. Where I feel like as a writer and an artist, you should be taking inspiration from your life. Not your life. Like, obviously, you can be inspired by like an Akira Toriyama, shit like that. But like, I think the best work comes from people who take their life experiences and create a narrative out of it. Like, what the fuck is this guy's name? But anyways, Legend of Zelda, right?
Right.
That game is just what came about because of the dude's experience of him like just traveling Japan, where like it was like an open world for him to like go and do as he pleased, and that's how the idea of the Legend of Zelda Miyamoto, wow, I don't know how his name came to be, right? Where it's like Araki apparently used to travel around the world to sketch places in like Egypt and stuff for like his manga and shit, where it's like he obviously had to have had some influence from like Vision of North Star based on his first three characters, like how they look and stuff.
Right.
But he took things from his life and what he did and put it into his manga, into his narrative, where I feel like a lot of these ones are just inspired by anime and that's it, like not by real life experiences. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do believe that's true. It does seem like they're inspired from other manga. Yeah, like with the whole life experience thing, I agree with that, because when I think Miyazaki said it in an interview. He said like too many people are trying to copy or trying to be like other anime or manga instead of being creative, instead of being creating something that's completely original. And
anime was a mistake. Yeah,
because like a lot of stuff will feel like like maybe a worse version or like a newer version of something from the past. And I mean, that's cool and all that it's inspired from that, but you do have to like become original at some stage. Like, for example, Seven Deadly Sins was the most unoriginal, most regular derivative shonen battle manga at the start. Like it was so, it had tournaments, it had a whole it was just like this huge tournament stuff, high levels of characters, like the characters are super strong, super fast. That's what Seven Deadly Sins was at the start. But it became its own thing and started hitting its stride, and now it's, I would say, probably one of the best shonen action manga out right now.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like,
right.
I like it. I really liked it. I just think it's solid. Like, I'm not sure if it's doing anything amazing that's different.
Right.
No, I can say it is. I think that he kind of plays with certain tropes in a way that I find interesting. And a lot of times where I think he would do something, like, you remember when Van met up with his old teacher?
Right.
That's a moment where I really think a manga artist would have taken the opportunity to make that character not reveal who he is. And Van was like, oh yeah, that was me. Like, just so casually. And I was like, I was super impressed with that. Like, he did shit like that I like a lot. plays around with your expectations just a little bit. Suzuki, what's his first name? Suzuki something, I remember. But he's good. I like him. He's a solid guy. And he made a scanner who's the GOAT. So
Right.
can't be mad at that. Oh, Alan, you're back.
Oh, sorry. Was I off? Oh shit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I called upon you, summoned you, Kuchio, and you didn't say nothing.
I'm sorry.
Do you know the question you were talking about?
Yeah, you guys are talking about what's going on with Jump right now, right?
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on it? And
I wanted to say that because before you talked about how Shokugeki no Soma.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I've actually been reading it / watching like a bunch of things related to cooking, so on Netflix, Chef's Table, and all that other stuff. But after seeing that, and you compare that to Shokugeki no Soma, you get that real essence that there's this gastronomy going around. There's this understanding that when it comes to cooking, there's so much that you can do and can be done. And so what are new and interesting ways of like making food? And there's actually a lot of excitement in that too, because when you're at home, when you're looking through your own fridge, you're like, oh my goodness, what am I going to make for dinner tonight? Or what am I going to make for lunch today? Or whatever it is. It's just like to have the ingenuity kind of to see that, oh man, these two tastes together, they're really, really good. Let's do that. That's really exciting. Right. And I think that's what Shokugeki is trying to capture.
I can agree with that. So let's talk about some of the series in there before we move on to our like last segment, I guess. But like, here's my thing. So I enjoy Soma for what it is, and me and you have read several cooking manga. Nobunaga no Chef, Bambino, Bambino Secondo, etc., right? So this is not our first dance with a cooking related manga.
Of course.
My thing about it is, aside from the way they kind of do the cooking aspect, it's pretty much just your typical Shonen Jump story.
Yeah.
Except they don't fight, they cook, right?
Pretty much.
It's not that different, but here's my real problem with the series. By the way, I like it. It's like I don't have a problem with the series. I like it. I enjoy it for what it is. The stakes are just too high all the time. It's you better win this Shokugeki or you're expelled and your friends are expelled. I'm like, he's not gonna get expelled. Like, stop making the stakes so damn high all the time. Like, what if it's like, oh, like if you lose, you gotta, I don't know, you get the tension. like relax. Like,
right? Yeah.
His back is against the wall and like every Shokugeki, and I'm just there like he's not gonna fucking like something's gonna happen. There's some kind of contrivance where he's like, no, I'm good. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's my issue with it.
For me, my issue with Shokugeki before I dropped it was with that whole arc with Hayama. He looks okay. One thing I can have huge respect for Shokugeki no Soma is the art style. It is phenomenal. It's so stylish. And I really wish that guy. I think his name is I forget his name. Tosh maybe. But I wish he would do a romance manga because I feel like he could draw something really cool. But with Soma, like with Hayama, like he was acting super edgy. Like,
yeah,
it's not like maybe some people would have thought it was cool and thought he was cool, but I don't know. I found it hard. I found it super hard to take seriously.
You see, your problem with him is literally the problem I had with Akashi in Kuroko.
Yes. They're like the same
evil basketball fucking midget, by the way, in comparison to everybody else, just took me out of the story, and he had literal powers that worked off the fucking court. It was just like he scored his own net and said, I will gouge out my eyes and give them to you. Like, no, bitch, catch these hands. You're not just fucking scoring our own basket. Are you stupid? I don't care who you are. Don't ever do that. I'll fight you. I'll fucking stab you. I'll fight you. Like, so I understand how you feel, because that's like as soon as he came, like he kind of just took me out the story where I was like, this fucking guy again. Like, oh god.
He's so nice and so like chill, and he just turned into an edgelord. Like,
he had to fucking stab Kagami with scissors, like over some basket. Come on, bro. In Japan, you can't be. No, I could.
Dude, I just want to say that in Robo X Laser Beam, we're past that now. So we don't do that no more.
Oh Lord.
Everybody's very friendly, you know. Everybody's getting along. Clap, polite hands. You know.
Golf kind of fire, but like, is that in Jump?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Is that popular? I wonder how that's doing. That's interesting. We should get a segment on that another time. But
I think that series is weird, but it's fine. Like it's happening, so it's okay.
So I would say that some of the two I kind of brought one up earlier, which is Black Clover. I know the anime is I think it stinks, so no one
Oh my
cares about the
God.
anime, which
Yeah,
is gonna
yeah.
I think it's gonna hurt it overall the same way I kind of did the Toriko. I think if Toriko had a good anime, it would have lasted longer. I would say. My take on Toriko.
Right.
It's very simple. Like I don't hate the series, but it's about grown men.
Throwing hands,
There you go. And
eating food.
all right, so and he did not lie to me from the get go. Like Fairy Tale was like, "Yo, we're gonna have a real story," and it's like, "Psych, we don't." Right?
No.
It was like, "No, like they're gonna eat and they're gonna throw hands," and I was like, "All right, respectable." Now, the problem with that is your dialogue makes my balls itch because you're talking about my appetite and, and the calories you gotta consume to use your powers. Or just like it's so funny, but I couldn't take it seriously, especially when you're talking about my appetite is like when you're too big for a kid in the playground. Like, all right, that's enough. I have to look at the overview and right click tab on all the pages with hands and skip all the dialogue.
Toriko's super hard to take seriously. It's because like this is really strange things like my appetite devil and my appetite is stronger than yours. You don't eat like me. You can't beat me. Stuff like that. It's just super hard to take seriously. But I will admit, the Cooking Festival arc is possibly the best arc in Shonen that has come out after 2010.
I'll give you that. It's really good.
That arc is phenomenal, but
it's
the rest,
crazy. Stargym versus Toriko, fam.
That fight was insane. That shit was so damn raw.
All right, so I would say the up and comer right now is My Hero Academia, right? So I want to talk about our general thoughts on it, manga and anime, because I actually think the anime is very good, right? I enjoy the anime a lot. I don't watch. See, now I watch anime with people. I don't watch it on my own unless it's like a movie or something that I know no one wants to watch. Like probably like a genocide. Like no, I know if it's you, Alan, and I'm like, yo, let's watch Genocide of Oregon. You'd be down, but like most people would be like, no, like where's the hands? Like I don't want to see the shit, right? But
hey, other people are children, all right. Other people are children.
This is like the up and coming now. Right, yeah, right. And it's very popular. I see a lot it's very polarizing, I see. I know a lot of people just trolling the way I am. Sometimes I'm just like, that guy's no swag, but like, what do you think about the series? Is it going to be a big deal, do you think? Is it gonna be a great series that's gonna kind of be like one of the pillars of Jump at some point, or do you think it's going to fall flat in its face eventually?
Honestly, I think it will always be popular. I have no idea why people like it, but
so what are your issues with the series?
Issues with the series, the main character is super lame. I understand the point is to show, the classic trope, weak to strong, starts out weak and gets strong, becomes cool, becomes the hero, literally, because that's what the story's about. But I don't like how he looks. He's just not interesting to me. I would have to say the villains are the most interesting part of the story for me because they all look cool as hell. They have really interesting like philosophies and like ideology and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So if there's a reason to watch or read it, I would say it's because the villains. Although I'm not caught up, I'm about 30 chapters behind. I like the villains, but as for the heroes, like I don't really like them that much. Like the characters in the school, I don't really like them. Some of them look cool though. I will admit the art for the series is very clean. They just don't have good design,
Okay, so you like the artwork at the very least.
Yeah, I like the artwork and I like the designs for the villains. I don't like the costumes and designs for the heroes. I don't like.
What about have you watched anime at all or no?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, let's scratch that then. So what about you, Alan? What do you like or not like about My Hero Academia? Boku no Hero, Boku no Pico. I'm joking.
Well, no, stop this. We don't talk about that. You edit that out of this video. With regards to Boku no Hero Academia, I think that it's probably one of the best ongoing things right now in Jump, I want to say. Mm-hmm. And really, at one point, I think I was at a comic store and somebody came to me and they asked me, like, what are your thoughts on, like, superheroes and whatever? And I'm like, what if I'm not into that kind of stuff? And they're like, well, or like, what about manga? And they were like, oh, well, people don't really like to mix their superheroes with their manga. And I'm like, in my head at the time, I was just like, what about My Hero Academia then? But I think that's what it is. It's that it touches a line that is between manga and between comic books, and it's kind of conjoining the two things. Because there are sometimes too where you look at a visual of one of the volumes that he's written, and the visual pulls from comic book covers as well. So he borrows on certain postures and certain like visuals, and then he'll obviously give it to his own characters in his unique style. So you see this marriage of Western and Japanese cultures, and he does it really well too, because it extends beyond not just the literature, but how he visualizes characters, how he draws his characters. And so in that regard, I think I think that's what makes it one of the strongest things in Jump right now. And then consider how many cours we've had for My Hero Academia.
We're on the third one now.
Like we're what like we're at season 3, and there are other series that are equally good, but are struggling to get to that level of popularity, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at One Punch Man. There's no way that you can say that One Punch Man is not on that same level. There's no way you can say something like Attack on Titan is not on that same level. The anime, anyway, if not the manga. But
the manga's like, pretty good lately.
The manga's been stepping it up, I think. Once we got past the whole thing with the basement, and then they did the time skip business and whatever.
The Attack Titan and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm behind. So, and people have been telling me here and there about stuff. So I'm planning to get back into it. But
I did out of boredom one day, so I'm caught back up. But
I'm a huge fan, actually.
But
I mean, you got it. It's not nothing wrong with it, I guess. I don't know. I just don't care about it anymore.
But this is what I mean, right? With My Hero Academia, there's such a high level of popularity. There's no way that's just going to disappear. I think right now, what we're going through with the arc, in terms of the arc, he was trying to go very slice of life, and now he's trying to build in some kind of conflict into it. But outside of that, there's been a bunch of action going around. There's been a bunch of engagement between heroes and enemies. And what I like too is that Deku is going from being like a loser and all this other stuff, and it's not that he's even becoming like All Might, who he got his abilities from. It's him becoming his own person, because he doesn't fight the way All Might fights. He fights the way that he fights.
Well, you seem to hold it in pretty high regard.
Because I think it's just that there's that uniqueness to him. It's his personality, and the fact that
he's just not trying to like in general. Like I didn't know like you liked it like that, I guess.
Oh, I don't know that I like it that much, but from what I've experienced and from what we're talking about, like that's why I give it that kind of regard. It's not that it's super out there or anything, or that I really, really am super enamored with it, but it's just like those are the things. That's what it is. I'm in no position to say that it's not popular, right? So
all right, that's fair. With me, I get what you're saying, but I feel like it hasn't quite done it as good as it can be. Like I was watching this new like black cartoon on Cartoon Network called Craig of the Creek, and there's this one part that made me laugh where the ninja kids in the creek are all like otaku, and the leader dropped and his bag opened, and a Western superhero comic fell out, and they all like shamed him for it. They're like, "Ew, you're reading Western superhero comic? That's not a manga." And it made me laugh, right? It made me laugh. So that was the reason why I was excited for this series, because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be a cool blend of Western superhero comics, tights, cowls, and capes, with the Japanese spin on it. The same way I feel like Magi was that with Arabian Nights. The Arabian Nights tales was this weird Japanese take on it, which I think Magi did a good job of doing, despite the kind of end game and the artwork at some point where I couldn't tell who was who. All fucking say to me, but I like Magi, right?
Right.
This I feel has an opportunity to do that, and it hasn't. I guess if it's gonna be a long series, it's still early, so I'm patient.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting for it to just kind of turn up and get to the point that I want it to be at. I love the artwork. I kind of agree with Kyle. Some of the character designs are just off, and I don't even like the characters that much. I'm keeping it real with you. Like Class 1A, I really don't care for them. I respect Deku from a writing standpoint. Objectively, I think he's a great character. He's got no rawness and swag. I don't like him. Okay? I don't care. Fuck you. I like All Might. I like Muriel. That's end list. Characters that I like. Pretty much end the list there. I don't mind Eraserhead, and I don't know, maybe if you put a gun to my head and force me to choose two more, I could think of two I don't hate. But the cast to me is not very interesting.
Oh yeah.
they're very generic to me, right? You know what? Bakugo is not bad. If you actually pay attention, he's kind of growing. If you're paying attention, he's not bad. But he's a coon. He's an ape. Can't take him. You don't yell. Yeah, he's an ape. But the action is good. I was super impressed with the last couple of chapters with Gentle, with the way he was using the air trampolines and the flicking off the air and shit. Like, it was clean artwork, and the battle was good. Like, the choreography was on point and stuff. Like, there's a lot to like here. Mm-hmm. There is, but it's like Kyle likes the villains. I don't. I hate them. They suck. They look cool, but they are fucking whack. But when they really face like adversity, they just lose. Like, Stain lost to some kids, right? Even though he was able to scare some like heroes. Overhaul is trash. I don't care what. Overhaul was wiggity whack. Okay, he's garbage. I remember All for One, or One for All. Sorry. I thought it was gonna be Raw, and it was like, oh, I might just beat him. Like, all right, so like you're whack too. Like, and I don't like the guy with the hands. What's his name? Tamura? He's trash. He's trash. He's not Raw. Like, they're building him up to be this foil for Deku, and I'm just not interested. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a bad series, but I didn't mean I like it. It's one of my favorite 30 manga probably right now. I do think it's good. There's just so much that I feel like could be better, and I think he's just playing it safe. Like, Horikoshi is just playing it safe to me for popularity and whatnot, and like it's getting these Marvel crossovers and shit. Like, it's doing really well. The new movie's coming out. Like, I think it's going to be the number 2 or 3 in Jump for at least half a decade if it goes for that long.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, for me, Boku no Hero needs its arc. Like, most big series have their own like early arc that hits super hard, then gets everyone on board. Like, but Bleach was Soul Society, like that made everyone a Bleach fan, no debate. That's honestly one of the best early arcs in Shonen history. Same thing for Naruto. Naruto had a bunch. Naruto had Chunin exams. It had the
Zabuza arc.
The Zabuza arc. That pulled on everyone's heart, you know. And the Konoha invasion by the Sound Village and the Sand Village, that was well done. But what really got so much people into Naruto that pulled them into the series was the Sasuke retrieval arc. You know, it was, you know, high stakes, like the Sound Five versus the 5 rookies that Neji, or I forgot who was the leader at the time. And I think Shikamaru chose like.
He was the only one. He was the only one that became a Chunin. Remember?
Right. He was the only one that became a Chunin because everyone else was just so focused on fighting they weren't like thinking.
Yeah.
And that arc was like the defining arc for like part 1 Naruto. It ended at like that part of the story. You know, went on a time skip after that.
And yeah, I don't think My Hero has that arc yet. To be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have that arc yet. Maybe it will get it, but I think it would become something a lot more interesting and it could really become amazing. Who knows? You know, what if it happens? And it really could happen. But as you said, like it was playing it safe. Although I'm not caught up right now, everyone says it's playing it safe. So I guess I'll just have to find out soon when I read it. But
final comment before we move on to our last segment. I just want to say also the heroes completely outnumber the amount of villains they are to the point where it's like ridiculously lopsided. So it's just like the level of stakes there is just not forming. Where it's like no one could be like, haha, like I'm so raw. I'll kill anyone. It's like, no, you're just gonna get sworn by heroes and lose. Like, stop, you know? Yeah. All right. So, sports manga, right?
Right.
To me, seems to be one of the most divided communities when it comes to manga. You either read them or you just don't. I don't really find that in between. Where like you'd be like, yo, try this volleyball manga, and be like volleyball and laugh and spit on you. Like, no.
Right.
You know? The sports, like, where the hands, like, you know, like you know, like Nick always on Twitter, like, I ain't even no fucking Haikyuu, like.
Oh yeah, it's just yaoi and all that.
You behave, right? So it's like I don't know what the deal is, why it gets this level of like resistance from people where it's like
that's weird.
Don't want to try it, but like I don't know if you have anything you particularly want to talk about topic wise towards sports manga. But the first thing I want to say is, why do you think people are so hesitant to try them?
Oh, it's because I know why. This is a pretty huge reason. It's like people say this things like, why would I read Slam Dunk or read Kuroko when I could just go watch the game of the NBA Finals? You know, LeBron is way better than all these scrubs, and I could just watch him play. So stuff like that, you know, like people will say stuff like that. people be like, why would you
It's fucking
watch
trash.
sports manga when you could watch the pros play? And for me, it's just like, why? I don't understand that mentality. It's because you don't know LeBron personally. You don't know the struggles he went through at practice. You don't know how it was like growing up, like being him. Making it to the big leagues. It's not personal. There's no personal aspect to watching professional sports. That's why I would say is a good aspect of reading and watching sports anime and manga is because like you get to grow with these characters. You get to see them struggle. You get to see them, build. Get to see the teams work together, and get to see them like rise to the top. That's the interesting aspect of sports anime and manga. But people don't fail to see past that because they just want to see pros play, which is I guess understandable. But
No, it's
there's
not.
no reason you can't enjoy both. Like I'm a huge fan of professional soccer, but I still read soccer manga. Like I definitely like both. There's no reason you can't, but people just pick a side, I guess.
I feel like that's what it is too. That some people just feel that why would you want to read about a sport when you could just go and play the sport,
Right.
right? So like there's nothing stopping anybody from going and playing basketball or something. There's nothing stopping anybody from going and playing tennis, unless you just don't know where a court is or something, right? But that's not something that you could even like. That's not a big issue. You could figure that stuff out too. So I mean, there's that, and then it's like you said before about how some people all they care about is the violence. All people are really there for is the fighting and whatever. So in that regard as well, people don't want to watch something that has that kind of finesse with regards to sports.
Oh, One Piece is out. Fuck.
And
Okay,
then
continue.
and then there's also the fact that it's it's a Japanese take on sports as well. So people in Japan obviously experience sports differently from how we experience sports. So when they're talking about kind of the things that they're going through at the high school level and how they go on these like retreats and these training camps and whatever. I mean, we do that to a degree, but it's not the same level. It's not the same degree. It's not the same experience that we get here in Western culture when compared to what they get there in Japan, right? There are a lot of different institutions here compared to like how it is there. There's a lot more space here than there is over there, right? So they have to economize on those kind of things, and we don't, right? So
Exactly.
so because of those differences, it makes it kind of hard, I guess, to like relate sports in that way. I mean, obviously, sports as a site for social interaction is always great. Like you always have that essence of people are doing something together or they're playing together, and there's that. But you miss out on kind of the struggles of the individual when you're going through those kind of things, except for people who are really big names, right? So I feel like people can't appreciate that, like, oh, you're hearing about somebody who is literally nobody. Like this is somebody who doesn't matter in the real world, or this is somebody who has no place in the real world, or is not even some kind of pro or anything. It's just they're bad, or they're like relatively decent, and then it's just them building themselves up. And so the progression is not like what you would experience in our day-to-day life. So I think that's why people struggle with it.
Yeah, I totally agree. A lot of people just aren't even into sports like that. Like from what I've seen of like anime and manga fans, like many of them aren't into sports, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like a lot of people aren't into sports, like in real life, or never played a sport growing up. So like they fail to see like, well, what could be possibly interesting about watching anime characters play sports? Like
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because like why when you can do it yourself, then there's no real essence to having to go and read about it or to watch it, right?
Right.
And especially in an animated format, why not just go and see the actual thing done?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's what it is too. It's about the accessibility of it, that you like you can easily go and play sports. It's not hard.
Exactly. But what a lot of people, another point I have is like some people just aren't built to play sports. Like, well, certain sports, right? Everyone could be athletic if provided the training and discipline. But like some people, like I'm 5'8", right? There's no way I can compete with people playing basketball on any level. But like if I were to play something like soccer, which I used to play, or track, which I was like decently fast, it's possible. Maybe some people out there aren't athletic at all. Maybe they're just weak or have no stamina, or they're just short, like how I am, and they can go watch like people play basketball. I've seen a lot of basketball fans, like fans of like real life basketball and like NBA and the NBA finals, stuff like that. And I've seen how people that definitely can't play basketball in real life because they're just undersized or they're just not strong enough, and they are huge fans of basketball. Like that's part of it. Like you can be a fan of a sport or a sports anime because it's something different than provides like a different perspective on a sport or how sports play or people's physiques to play those sports. It's something different. It's something different like that. Like pretty much many people watch sports, but they aren't athletic. It's just fun to watch, And same thing with sports anime and reading sports manga. It's just fun to experience like the characters like struggles, them getting better and stuff like that. Hitting their milestones. I say it's overall pretty fun, and just a lot of people just need to give it a shot because they're a lot of fun. Like
yeah, that's basically what it is. I think that's the charm of sports manga. You watch these people become really capable at what they do. And I mean, yeah, it's only at the high school level or, university level, but it's nice to see the come up.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I was reading One Piece, but whatever you said, I agree with.
Get out of here, guys. What the?
I can't I'm sorry. The chapter's on. The chapter.
You could just wait for all of us to read it. What is wrong with you?
No, I couldn't. Unbelievable. I love that chapter, by the way. It was really good. I can't wait to my review tomorrow. But all right, so you want to just recap?
What you basically saying, like a lot of people that are into sports or they're into like watching sport, like people play sports at a high level, watching pros play. Like a lot of the people that are a fan of the sports they watch can't actually play these sports because they're undersized or they're just too weak or they don't have enough muscle or they're too short. Like I said, like I would never be able to be good at basketball because I'm 5'8". Like I'm undersized and I'm not muscularly, strong enough to play the sport. But there's other sports you can play, and just seeing other people play sports that you don't like, it's an interesting take on like getting a different perspective on the sports people play. Like I know for example, many people that already play a sport are fans of other sports. Like I know a lot of people growing up who played soccer who are huge fans of like basketball. I know many basketball fans, love seeing watching soccer, pro soccer, like huge fans of players like Lionel Messi. Like Lionel Messi is the like top 2 player in the world, and he's 5'7". Like a lot of people like seeing like players of different body types, their takes on how they like play the sport, right? Like there's no way someone that's not at least 6'3" would make it into the NBA, but in soccer you can be really small and still be good. Like it's just interesting to see how different bodies thrive in sports, and it's interesting for people to like get into a new sport and watch it. That's the why people want to watch sports anime is because maybe some people that watch sports anime have played the sport, obviously, but I would assume most don't because from what I've seen, anime and manga fans aren't the most athletic. You feel me? Like, right. But many people like see a sport and maybe that would be cool to watch in an anime, and they get into it. Like I remember my first sports anime was actually Kuroko no Basket, and I was like, there was a YouTuber talking about it. Like he said he just reviewed a new episode, right? So I'm like, what's Kuroko no Basket? So I watched the first episode and I was like blown away because I thought it was so fucking dope. Like the soundtrack was really well done, which it still has an amazing soundtrack. It's really atmospheric for the games, and so like after that, I was like, I watched the first 16 episodes. That was all that was out at the time in 2012. I was like, yo, that was actually the most amazing shit I ever watched. So ever since then, I've just been a huge fan of the genre. I remember watching a few episodes of Slam Dunk like way back when I was like a kid, like with my old friends, and it was cool, I guess. But it was Slam Dunk. The anime is super dated, so I just got into the manga after that point, and I found the manga artwork for Slam Dunk is phenomenal as well. Like it's really it's by what's his name? I forget his name, but he also did Vagabond.
Inoue.
Oh, Inoue, yeah. And yeah, his artwork for Slam Dunk is just amazing. Ever since then, I've been a fan. I've always liked Haikyuu ever since you put me on that like 4 years ago. Because I asked like, on Twitter, like, what's your favorite sports anime team? And you said Karasuno, and I was like, all right, so it's about volleyball. And then I got into it ever since then. And then the anime came out, and I've seen all 3 seasons of the anime.
Oh shit.
And ever since then, I've just been a huge fan of the sports genre and anime and manga.
I started with Prince of Tennis. That was the first one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen episodes of Prince of Tennis, but I didn't start reading the manga until like way after I was already into it.
I actually really like the anime, the canon parts at least. I didn't watch any non-canon episodes, and then the OVAs were dope, except for the one part they had to switch around. I think because the way they did it, I think Echi-sen left for America, so he was the one that had to play. I can't remember his name. Was it Oishi from the Golden Pair?
Mm-hmm.
He had to beat him to come back on the team because Oishi was injured, so he didn't want to. But Tezuka was the one who in the manga because I think he went to get rehab for his yips for his arm.
Right.
So that was a cool little bait and switch there. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I like the soundtrack. There's like this one theme, I don't know what it's called. It's like fanfare they'd play when like the tides were turned in the hero's favor. It'll go like and I used to be like, yeah. It's get hype when it comes on. So yeah, I mean people be hating.
Yo, like when I'm watching like a hype ass sports anime moment, I find myself like fist pumping in the air, like let's go. Man. That shit gets me so hyped. It's just like in real life sports too. Like you're watching your favorite team, your favorite player from a sports anime, and they're just going ham. They can't be stopped. Kind of like in Diamond No Ace when Footy is just on fire. He just can't stop striking people out.
Mm-hmm.
Like that those kind of moments are just they make sports anime so fun. Like that's what I'll never stop liking them. Like in the like ultimately in the same kind of way, like all sports anime and manga are the same. Like they focus on the same kinds of things, but they're always still fun to watch because I just like the sports that they're playing, or I just like seeing them grow, as players and as a team. Although one sports manga I would say that is very different from the rest is The Climber, which is Koko no Hito. That is more like a psychological kind of story, but it still has to do with the really unorthodox sport of mountain climbing.
I love Koko no Hito.
Right, yeah. Honestly, when I first read it, I read it in one sitting, no joke. I did nothing but read that, like for like 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah, I mean, is there like any specific topic concerning sports or certain sports manga you guys want to talk about? We can wrap this up. I think we've almost been going 2 hours.
Yeah, we have been going too hard. So let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's all right.
All right. Yeah, we'll see that next time. We'll have cooler stuff to talk about soon. So there's an intro, first episode. We'll have a name soon. I'll edit all the shit later. Yeah. Thank you everyone who watches it, who got to the end. Appreciate it. Follow Alan and Kyle on Twitter. I don't remember Kyle's new ad.
All right, I can give it to you.
No, I can get it, but like, do you want to say it at all?
Oh, it's Ryu Juan, but instead of the U, it's a V.
All right, yeah, no one remember that. And then Vienna Society for Alan, and then follow the blog, the Intelligentsia, right?
Intelligentsia, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm tired.
I mean, it's 2 a.m. So
subscribe to Kyle. I'm Stitch Doll, 3 L's. I'll put it in the description, and you know what I'm saying. Y'all have a good day. Here.
Yeah.